Hello everyone. So I wanted to do a video talking about Sense and Sensibility, the Emma Thompson version. Now it's something that I initially saw this film when I was back in college, so that was like 2012, 2013 time. And it was one of those, I really did enjoy it. But then for a long time, I never went back and revisited it. Anyway, I recently did. They were having an offer on Amazon, like the Prime Day offers. And anyway, sure enough, on Prime Video, you could buy it digitally for about a fiver. So I thought, well, let's jump on this. Also, I've been reading through Alan Rickman's diaries recently, and of course, there's entries there that cover the filming of Sense and Sensibility. So that kind of given me the inspiration to go back and revisit it. Now, obviously, directed by Ang Lee, and James Seamus was involved in the writing of it. Of course, they worked together on The Ice Storm, albeit after Sense and Sensibility. Now, The Ice Storm to this day is one of my favourite films of all time. And it was kind of like I saw The Ice Storm first and I was really taken with that, and then I wanted to kind of expand, okay, let's see what else Ang Lee and James Seamus have done. And of course, Emma Thompson, to her credit, she was heavily involved, even winning the Academy Award for Best Adapted Screenplay. She did fantastic work on this, obviously, both in terms of working on the screenplay and in terms of the performance that she delivers. Really wonderful. Portraying that older sister who has to keep on the straight and narrow and keep a clear head when everything around her is crumbling, from the financial difficulties that they fall into, and then of course the personal difficulties, of course the sister and her own personal romantic disappointments. But it's a really, really wonderful film. Now I've got to hold my hands up. I do always enjoy a lot of these costume dramas, but I appreciate they're not for everybody. That's fair enough. Obviously, you've always got to acknowledge that. But this one, Sense and Sense, but I mean that's the thing as well. There's so many of these things, but this one, I really do think stands above. And one of the aspects is, of course, the cast. It's got an incredible cast. Obviously, Kate Winslet and Alan Rickman and Hugh Grant there, company Emma Thompson. But then again, you've got obviously, who's who, like Hugh Laurie is in there, of course. You get Tom Wilkinson at the start as the late Mr. Dashwood, and then obviously it all starts from him, passing away, and then obviously the inheritance going one way. It's a wonderful cast. A wonderful adaptation. Here's me saying it's a wonderful adaptation. I hold my hands up. I haven't gotten around to reading the book, so I suppose I shouldn't comment on it as an adaptation. I should just stick to focusing on it as a film in its own right, and even then, it shines. This is a fantastic film. So I'll say that. We'll leave it for another time as to the adaptation. Although I have faith in Emma Thompson. She's she's the kind of, obviously given her background, I think she's someone who would always have respect for the material. And then of course Ang Lee, from Taiwan, a man who you wouldn't immediately think of as the natural choice for an adaptation of an English period piece, but again, you would never think because it's so well done. But the story again, it's a criticism that's often put or levied against these films. It's often the same story with just different character names. So I mean, there is some truth to that. That's fine, but I think this one has a certain degree of charm about it, and I think it does have a real sense of humour as well. Um, you know, obviously Emma. I think the fact that Emma Thompson was involved in the writing of it, you know, and she's talked. There's that segment from the Graham Norton show that's online with her and Hugh Grant when they were talking about the scene at the end when Hugh Grant obviously finally confesses and proposes to her, and they went with a take where Emma Thompson decided she was going to sob throughout the whole thing, and she was saying that was part of the joke. It's a fun clip. I'll have to link it in the description, but um, yeah, I think this is one of those where they had, you know, everyone involved was at the top of the game and firing on all cylinders. It's a really lovely story as well, and I just like to, again, I I've always felt that Alan Rickman was such a remarkable man. Reading is going back and reading the Alan Rickman diaries as well. That's only cemented that. Um, but he's really brilliant here as Colonel Brandon. This is here. This is like him through and through. And there's a line that Emma Thompson has. You know, Colonel Brandon is the kindest and best of men, and she's even said as much. You know, that she wanted Alan Rickman for the role because he really was that. You know, she wrote a beautiful foreword to the book, the Alan Rickman Diaries. She did a really, really beautiful foreword, and obviously they knew each other very well, and they were really good friends. And he's just, again, absolutely first class guy, and it just, you know, an artist, a legitimate artist. You know, you have certain people, actors, extraordinaires who really are pretentious, and they really, you know, they really believe their own brilliance. Whereas Alan Rickman was one of those that are very, very self-critical. Like you get the feeling that he never felt he was good enough, and that's kind of heartbreaking, really, because he was absolutely exceptional. But he was one of those. He never came off as pretentious because he got that balance right. You see, like obviously he took his work very seriously, but he never took himself seriously. That was the distinction. But that's a really, really wonderful scene between Alan Rickman and Emma Thompson. You know, where he finally divulges the whole backstory with Willoughby. It's a wonderful piece of acting on his part. I really like watching it because you can see you can see the mechanics of it. I like the way he paces out the scene, and I always like to see an actor owning the space, and that's what you get here, because a lot of that scene is Alan Rickman monologuing, and even like no doubt, no doubt, and then even he starts when I and then takes the pause. No, I must go further back. You can really feel the cogs turning and the mechanics of it. And Colonel Brandon is wonderful. That really is a gold standard. You know, like as again, you know, growing up and thinking like, what kind of man do you want to be? What kind of person do you want to be? Like, Colonel Brandon is one of those aspirational figures that you could hold as a gold standard, and credit to Alan Rickman, he really captures that. Um, but it's a lovely, lovely story, and it's one of those, you know, like people who face great adversity, you know, they lose their fortune, but how they come back, and you know how to a degree love conquers all. But also there's a really lovely message about being true and being loyal, and staying on the right path. Like Hugh Grant's character, for example, yeah, he falls in love with Emma Thompson, but then it's revealed that he's secretly engaged, and he has been for some time. Now, obviously, credit to his character, you know, he remains true to the commitment he made, but then, of course, he's betrayed in turn. But then it works out ultimately because he's then free of it to go and, you know, follow his heart and end up with someone, you know, who's twice the woman. You know, in Emma Thompson's character, obviously, the woman he was engaged to, the minute he's disinherited, like, oh, shows the true colours. But there's something that you can really take away from this. But again, a wonderful, wonderful cast. You know, like real great. You know, best of British, and it's like Bridget Jones's mum is in it. Of course, we get uh, is it Robert Hardy, who was of course from the Master Blackmailer, the Sherlock Holmes feature film with Jeremy Brett. Of course, he plays like the cousin of the family who gives them the cottage that they can go to. Of course, we got Emma Thompson's husband playing Willoughby. That's always a bit of cool inside baseball knowledge. And then, like you say, Kate Winslet, of course, even at such a young age, brilliant. Get some real powerful emotion from her as we get, when she goes through that whole, being betrayed by Willoughby. It's Greg Wise, isn't it? Emma Thompson's husband. It's always nice to name check the guys for the great work that they do. Hugh Laurie as well. His character's great. But you talk about a guy. His marriage. All the magic is gone from that marriage. They're just staying together for appearances. Like he cannot stand his wife. But it's interesting when his character's first introduced because he's very presented as very cold and disconnected, and he just basically speaks to his wife in snarky comments, backhanded comments. But what's really nice is when the chips are down, like when obviously we have the whole thing with Kate Winslet's character, when she's obviously betrayed, and then obviously she goes through the whole thing, she catches the fever and she's bedbound, thinks she's going to die. When the chips are down, that character gets the chance to show his true colours. And he basically, like anything you need, whatever I can do to help, whatever you need. And you think, and then you realise, oh wait, this character's actually a really, really great guy. He just doesn't like the wife, but of course he's stuck with her. It happens, but he's not a bad guy. It's one of those, like when you come across like certain couples, and you can see, oh right, I can see which of them has all the personality and the other one's just insufferable. You get that vibe. Think, oh well, they're great, but not so sure about the other one. But hey, God love you for staying faithful, man. Or lady, because it can go both ways. It really can. But yeah, Sense and Sensibility is a wonderful, wonderful film. Everyone involved is bringing their A game. And going back and revisiting it after all this time, it's lovely. It's really, and it ends in such a lovely way. Everybody, the characters that we've come to love and root for, they all get their win at the end. And it's lovely. It's really lovely. If you haven't seen it, see it. Even if you haven't read the book, I went into this without reading it, although it would be nice down the line to read the book. Yeah, it's a really wonderful piece, and again, I suppose to a certain degree, even if you're not the biggest fan of these costume dramas, I think there's something in this. And I think because Emma Thompson kind of approached it with that sense of humour to it, that you don't feel immediately alienated by it. But that wraps this up again. Just a quick thing. I'd revisited it recently and it really resonated with me again. So I just wanted to share it. Recommend it to people who haven't seen it. If you have, again, please feel free to treat the comments section as a love fest. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. And I will see you all in the next one. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.